Where are Dr. Phil's craziest guests now? Dr. Phil McGraw, or just Dr. Phil, has gained a certain amount of popularity after he appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show about 2 decades ago. Today, however, he has his own hit TV show to talk about, where he uses both his broad southern accent and tough love approach to the guests who come on his show seeking help.
With major labels like Def Jam, Sony, Universal, and Arista, and he says that...
But where are the guests he's tried to help on his show now? Let's find out, shall we? But before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Haley, the girl supposedly pregnant with baby Jesus. Haley was a teen girl who's known to have claimed that she was pregnant with baby Jesus, and that Eminem was her father.
Did you tell people that Eminem is your father?
Yes, I did.
She also said that she was a contestant on American Idol, and now it's been 4 months since she appeared on Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil not only tries to help his guests, but he also uses them as tools to educate others on the realities and various challenges in life, not to mention mental illnesses. He helps his guests or patients by keeping the challenges they have in mind and recommending the right protocols to overcome them. But because Dr. Phil seemed to sympathize with Haley and took her case quite seriously, she received treatment in the form of a very intensive inpatient program at one of the top psychiatric facilities. But despite the treatment, her family says that she's come crashing down and has now become more delusional and paranoid than ever. Maryann, the woman who encouraged her daughter to get a plastic surgery. Miranda, daughter of Maryann, has said that her mother has been obsessed with looking like a stripper ever since her husband, Miranda's father, confessed on Dr. Phil that he'd been to a strip club. Although this was over 2 decades ago, Miranda says that her mother would rather spend money on transforming her appearance than on education. She also says that her mother wants her to wear tight clothes so that she can show off her body. She further goes on to say that her mother has made drastic changes to herself by cutting her hair, dyeing her hair, and not to mention getting a large tattoo on her back, drinking, getting plastic surgery done, and so much more, ever since she found out her husband had been to a strip club. She says that her mother is really starting to freak out, and it seems to be getting worse by the day. The teen has even said that her mother wanted her to get large-sized breast implants. She says that she was taught by her mother that sex is what men look for and not education.
She tell you to give your boyfriend as much sex as he wants?
Yes.
She also says that her mother had warned her that if she doesn't have sex, her loved ones would leave her and go away. Dr. Phil, on the other hand, when he hears all this, speaks to Maryann, saying that she had a beautiful and intelligent daughter and that she shouldn't be given to some guy so that he can make her his playground. And instead, she should be educated. Romina Garcia, the 19-year-old girl who said men hit women because they love them. Romina Garcia, a 19-year-old girl, had said on one episode of Dr. Phil that men hit women only because they love them. This especially came after a video she made went viral, in which she's seen defending abuse.
Press charges. Like, not just anyone is gonna go to jail for you.
In the video, she's seen with a black eye and states that if her boyfriend has hit his girl, that means he loves her. Okay. She then goes on to say that the boyfriend wouldn't risk going to jail if that weren't the case. However, there were recent reports that she apparently died of a heroin overdose in January of 2016. She had a large number of followers on social media, and there are also dedicated Facebook pages to her passing. This is yet to be confirmed as her death hasn't been officially recorded anywhere, and people have mistakenly believed some other woman who died of a heroin overdose to be her. It was only later that her death was found to be false. Her Instagram was also reactivated a few days later, where she posed for a photo and said she'd returned. Most of these happenings occurred in early 2016, after people received the news of her death in January 2016. The woman who pretended to have cancer so she can make money. As you may recall, Jessica was a guest on the Dr. Phil show who said that her mom pretended to have cancer and had made money out of people through it.
Constantly?
So the 17 strokes weren't during the brain surgery
No.
in 2010, that was starting in 02.
It started.
Jessica is currently homeless and she claims to be pregnant, although her parents are not sure if she's telling the truth or not. Sexy Vegan, the dude who changed his name and tattooed it on his forehead. Vegan Hans was the original name of the guy who changed his name to Sexy Vegan. As you may recall, he used to roam the streets of Hollywood wearing only a Speedo and carrying a full-length mirror. In fact, he even admitted to being arrested many times for a number of offenses, and his mother had to bail him out each time. Susan, his mother, says that he's been arrested on 15 different occasions and that it cost her $100,000 of the $11 million she has inherited from her husband. On the other hand, Vegan seems to have a whole different story to tell. He says that he changed his name and is acting this way to liberate 70 million animals. He says that he's too handsome and talented. A normal job would seem so low for him. He also says that his mother should be supporting him. Raquel, his younger sister, says that Vegan's not only lazy and unmotivated, but he's also crazy.
He's a danger to the public. My mother has 2 rules for my brother. Don't get arrested.
Vegan, who changed his name to Sexy Vegan when the family moved to Hollywood from Illinois in 2016, says that he wants to become the first American king by starring in his own reality show. Raquel says that it's their mother who enables this sort of behavior by giving him money and bailing him out all the time. Vegan even says that his mom is holding the will his father made in order to inherit the $11 million. But Raquel says that he constantly asks for money from his mother, and has said that he spent $3,000 off her credit card. Riley, the guy who claimed to have written all of Taylor Swift's songs. If you remember Riley, he's that guy who claimed to have written a lot of songs for hundreds of artists. In fact, he even claimed that he wrote all of Taylor Swift's songs.
She would tell me that she's never met you, heard of you, or worked with you on a song.
You know, I wouldn't say no.
His mother, Robin, however, says that she's concerned about the way he's acting. She says that the 23-year-old wannabe went from advanced classes to drug abuse, and not to mention homelessness. She goes on to say that he began lying at a very young age, and that his greatest skill is one of manipulating people. Although she's admitted that she was the one who enabled such behavior, she says the situation has spiraled out of control. So much so now that she doesn't know what she's supposed to do. Darren is Riley's stepfather and says that the situation has led to constraints in his marriage. In fact, no one really knows if Riley's really troubled or if he's just trying to manipulate the people around him. Eileen and Sandy's love triangle. Eileen and Sandy were both in love with Chris, but Chris had nothing to do with either of them, except for the fact that he was co-parenting his child along with Sandy. Sandy says that she's desperate to get back with her ex-husband so that they can be a family again, along with their 11-year-old adopted daughter. However, his girlfriend, or rather ex-girlfriend, will stop that from happening and would do anything to keep them apart. Although Eileen admitted to intentionally causing trouble to Sandy, she said that she deserved it because she kept her from being with Chris. Chris, however, says that he's exhausted with both the exes and doesn't want to be in a relationship with either of the two anymore. Chris and Sandy's relationship started falling apart after about 3 years of their marriage. They divorced just a couple of months later, and Sandy and their daughter moved out. Chris says that when he placed an ad for a roommate, Eileen responded by moving in with him. And in time, they started dating, although Eileen claims that Sandy didn't like this one bit. Sandy admitted to wanting Chris back in her life, but Eileen was furious and said that Sandy was crazy for breaking their relationship. She even says that Chris is the love of her life and she wants to stay with him forever. However, Chris says that he and Eileen were never engaged, and Eileen can only fantasize about it.
And I'd like to know how it is that I'm doing this. And I've never suggested to anyone that, I'm a smooth.
Sandy, on the other hand, says that Chris only gave Eileen a ring on her 50th birthday, because no one else would. However, Eileen seems to disagree about that. Sandy has said that Eileen will do anything to keep her out of Chris's in her way. She would not only stalk and harass her, but she'd also make false allegations and complaints against her.
Did you harass her on Facebook?
If she made a comment, I would make a comment.
In fact, she even alleged that Sandy had created a fake Facebook profile just to talk trash about her, to drive 9 peace orders against Eileen. However, she says it only protects Chris and not Sandy and their daughter. She says that Eileen is crazy and that she'd do anything to hurt her, including going to the lengths of killing her. However, when Dr. Phil asked her if it's because they both love the same guy, Sandy responds by saying that it isn't about her and Chris anymore, and that she's more concerned about her daughter. Eileen says that she too wants to be with Chris, stating the fact that she'd been with him for over 6 years. Dr. Phil then asks about the ring Chris gave Eileen, asking if it was a wedding ring, to which Eileen responds that it wasn't. He then asked her when it was that Chris asked her to marry him, to which she says back in 2008 or 2009, but she wasn't sure. But she goes on further to say that Chris never really proposed to her, and had said they weren't going to get married. Eileen finally had no choice but to admit to Dr. Phil that she'd been harassing Sandy using a fake Facebook profile that she created for the very purpose. Joining Dr. Phil and Sandy on stage, Chris says that he and Sandy were never a romantic couple, and that Eileen couldn't understand that he doesn't love her anymore. He goes on to say that if he and Sandy didn't have a daughter, they'd never be in a relationship. He even says that he needs Eileen to go ahead and move out of their lives, for good. Chris says that although Eileen hopes to marry him, and now that it isn't possible, at least be a part of his life, he doesn't want his daughter to have anything to do with her. So, now we've seen how some of these interesting people have changed after their session with Dr. Phil. For some, their life seems to have changed tremendously. Others are just waiting for their lives to turn around. Whatever the case is, Dr. Phil's definitely out there to help them in whatever way he can, just in case they need it again.